Hey, what's up? It's Monday now, and kind of mixed feelings about the weekend. I think it was a fair weekend. I think, just did groceries and whatnot. Tried to go to sleep at a reasonable time for the most part. Except yesterday, I had a headache. I had a little bit of migraine. I think as a result of myself running, and maybe I didn't chew enough in terms of eating my meals, so I actually vomited out my meal, but that helped with migraine later. But pretty much I slept like from 7 to 10 or something like that, and ended up staying up most of the night, so that wasn't really good. I feel okay now, but I think I will be tired later. But yesterday it was pretty cool. I did play some of that Jackbox games with the meetup group, and it was kind of to be expected. I didn't really know most of the people there for the most part, so it was just fun to, I guess, get to know some people a little bit just through the games we play, I guess. But yeah, I guess I'm really liking Terraria as a game because I was up all night playing that. Maybe it's a game I should look to uninstall if in case I'm playing a little bit too much. But yeah, I think a short little update for this morning since, I'm a little loopy from the lack of sleep, I would say. Although I'm not really sure. Hopefully I'm okay for today because I did sleep a few hours at the end of the night, so I had a little bit of rest before going to work. But, hopefully things are okay. So I'll see you later. Bye bye. Oh my, it comes to this again. A little bit of a college thing. A little bit of noodles with tomato and egg. A little bit of like leftover cabbage and carrots, really. But, simple, simple, simple. Should be good. Got a little olive oil on that. And a little bit of sriracha, very excited. Nom nom. Hey there. So it's Monday, starting the week. That's pretty cool. Man, I feel like so far away. Anyway, today I had a specific topic, just a concept around public companies, at least in the United States, because it's kind of interesting to me, kind of how it affects the world, right? Because obviously, ever since I read the book Influencer, I try to think about the influences that kind of dictate some behaviors over another behavior, for instance. And really, I guess there's a couple of things I want to talk about. There's pretty much, I would say that public companies are not incentivized in the right way, at least to help the world. And I do believe that public companies should actually be incentivized to help the world. And what does this mean? I think really it's a matter of capital allocation, right? And for the most part, there's a couple ways that actually issuing out shares to the public actually does some good for the world. And number one would be from a company's perspective, if they are issuing out shares, then maybe this is some way for them to raise capital, right? And they can sustain themselves over the time period until it takes for them to be a profitable company. That's great. I mean, we like to have new businesses form, right? For the most part, at least. And then number two would be that we would want the shares to be issued out to employees. And obviously this comes as a benefit to the company and the employee. For one, the company can actually deduct this compensation from their tax. So in a sense that they're saving money on payroll. But on the other hand, employees can also get benefit by being shareholders, and they can also get benefits as a shareholder. In one sense, they get to see the company grow as well as their wealth in part to the company. Now, where I think this capital allocation is not done in the right way is pretty much after a period when a public company becomes really large. Then I guess the shift is now their only priority is not necessarily to maintain their business, although it is a major factor. Pretty much their goal is to maintain shareholder value, and usually this comes back as share price and dividends. Those two are the most important things for maintaining good shareholder value. And sadly, I would say that in the modern world, it might come at a really great cost, right? Because actually, if you're spending your money on giving it to shareholders, then really you're cutting costs maybe in one respect to kind of fund this, or pretty much you're not using the money on the own business, which can be kind of detrimental, right? Some companies are kind of coasting along, just selling their profits to the shareholders, which isn't inherently wrong, but I think the more we dive into it, the more gross it kind of seems in itself. I mean, pretty much a company is incentivized to minimize the wages of workers in one respect and pretty much pass on the money to the shareholders, right? So people who are actually working on building a company at ground level, they're not really getting much benefit from being workers at a company apart from receiving their salaries. But as a company grows bigger, maybe the value goes over to the shareholders. And really, the shareholders, for the most part, I would say, are not really related to the company. I mean, for the most part, shareholders are not workers at any given company. They're usually actually a very small percentage of the world who owns the vast majority of shares. So pretty much we're accumulating wealth for a very few amount of people, not really for the public good, right? I mean, workers probably take up more of a population than shareholders. So I think as a responsibility of a public company, it makes sense to have them incentivized to kind of help the public, not just in terms of shareholders, but in terms of worker values, right? That seems like a really natural thing to do if we want to have public companies to be incentivized to kind of help the world in general. So yeah, those are a couple of thoughts on public companies. I don't know what's the best way, for instance, to incentivize public companies in this way. Obviously, there's been some good that come out of public companies, but there's also been a lot of bad, right? Because I don't think the incentives are there to kind of increase the public good. So that's all I have for tonight. Just kind of 5 minutes. So I'll see you later. Have a happy week.